Hi, I'm Joe from Sensipath. Today I'd like to talk about the traits of HSP, highly sensitive people. Concept of HSP actually has scientific background based on many years of research. There are 4 major traits and you're considered an HSP when you meet all 4 traits. In this video I'll explain these traits along with everyday examples so you can easily understand whether they apply to you or not. So let's learn together what HSP is. So the concept of HSP was proposed by Dr. Elaine Aron. Dr. Aron identified 4 core traits of HSPs, and she summarized them using their first letters as acronym, and these are DOES, which is sometimes pronounced DOES. So let's look at these 4 DOES traits one by one. Number 1 is depth of processing. Simply put, this means you're cautious and you think about things deeply. For example, if HSPs hear about one thing, they immediately imagine 10 other background details about it. So just by hearing somebody start to speak, HSPs can sense the whole story of what the person is going to say, and they think, I see where this is going. So for this reason, HSPs are likely to think negatively or be introverted, so they are people who tend to think too deep about things. The downside of this is that because they become overly cautious, they tend to think a lot about the bad outcomes. Even when HSPs could simply try something, they imagine the possibility of failure in advance, so their ability to take action drops, and they often cannot take that extra one step forward. So like changing job is a good example. You may feel your current job is tough and you want to quit, but then you already imagine what bad things might happen at the next company. Even though you haven't started research on what kind of other companies exist, you still imagine the worst case scenarios, that you fail even in that next company. As a strong HSP and myself, I used to fall into this pattern all the time. So this is one of the difficult challenges of being an HSP. However, deep thinking trait also has advantages. On the other hand, being cautious actually can help lower risk taking and prevent failure when you take actions. So anyway, overall, this tendency to think deeply and carefully is the first trait of HSPs. Number 2 is overstimulation. This means that even small things become stimulation and it can make you feel drained. For HSPs, everything they see becomes information. A good example is a fallen tree branch on the walkway. For most people, if they're walking and they see a branch, they only see the branch as being part of the scenery. They don't even think, oh, there's a branch. For them, it's just something that exists, so there's nothing more to it. However, HSPs react differently. If there's a fallen branch, they start to think, where did this branch come from? Is it dangerous for people if it's there? Should I move it? What if somebody sees me moving it? That would be kind of embarrassing. And while HSPs are thinking all about this, they walk past the branch. But even after passing it, they still keep thinking about it. And they think, was it really okay to leave it there? And they start feeling guilty about it. So even these small things can be stimulation and creates a snowball effect and makes HSPs think deeply. So it makes them feel drained. So as I said earlier, HSPs tend to be cautious, but they also think too deep about small things and get negative, which then prevents them from taking action in life. Another example is when you're talking to somebody and if their facial expression looks a little unhappy, even just a moment, an HSP may immediately think, did I say something wrong? And they think about this deeply and get exhausted. So anyway, this is the HSP trait of being affected easily by stimuli and getting overstimulated and tired fast. Number 3 is empathy. This means you understand people's feelings and you resonate with them a lot. People often confuse this with empaths, but HSP and empaths are slightly different. HSPs pick up on others' feelings and resonate with them easily because their boundaries with others are thin, and everything they see becomes stimulation and information. For example, HSPs can sense someone's emotional state just by hearing their sound. Of course, most people can tell somebody is angry if they hear big noises or when somebody is yelling. But HSPs notice much smaller cues, just a slight change in people's tone, or if they make sounds that's just a little bit louder than usual, they start wondering, wait, is something wrong? So this empathy and the ability to sense people's feelings happen because HSPs take in many information unconsciously. So when an HSP is speaking with somebody, they might instantly notice their face just tightened up. They must be feeling uncomfortable. So scientifically, this could be because a subtle facial muscle movement is lacking when they should have appeared in a natural smile. Most people don't know about this, of course, and HSPs aren't consciously analyzing them either, but they still sense this. So it's easy for HSPs to pick up on others' moods, and the person's emotions are taken in very directly. And so compared to empaths, HSPs on a scientific level are more sensitive to stimuli and they take in information more intensely. Another good example is when you're watching a movie. Let's say in a scene, there's a character in the movie going through a tough time or a loss and they are crying. An HSP may immediately feel sad when watching that and they start crying too. That's because HSPs deeply pick up on the emotional background right away. They put themselves in the other person's situation and imagine the pain. So of course this empathy trait of HSP has benefits, like being deeply moved, but without managing information properly, HSPs can get overwhelmed easily. And last one, number 4, is sensitive to subtleties. Simply put, it means HSPs have sharp senses. So these are the 5 senses: sight, hearing, smell, touch, and taste. So HSPs might be sensitive in all 5 areas, or they might be very sensitive in just one area. This is widely different depending on the person. A very common trait for many HSP is sound sensitivity. For example, the sound of somebody typing on their computer can distract HSPs from really focusing on work or study. Another example is when HSPs are, let's say, trying to sleep, but if there's heavy rain sound from outside, or there's small noise coming from the neighbors, this can make it difficult for HSPs to focus on sleeping. And on the other hand, for visual sensitivity, there's a classic example. So imagine HSP chatting with a friend at a cafe. If there's a cafe staff grinding coffee or making orders right behind the friend, then HSPs cannot focus on the friend. Instead, they become absorbed by the activities of the cafe staff behind. This is because everything becomes information for HSPs, and the stimulation they take in from the 5 senses is more intense compared to non-HSPs. So another example is when HSPs go shopping at a supermarket. The bright ceiling lights can make them get drained fast. And if they go to a shopping mall, it's easy to imagine the 5 senses being used intensely. There's sound everywhere, smells of sweat or perfume, and visually you don't know where to look because there's too much information. So HSPs might feel drained in about 10 minutes. So if you can be aware of your sensitivity to all of these stimuli, you can take steps to reduce the impact. So for example, avoid going to the mall at a crowded time or taking short quiet breaks in between when you go out. So this kind of self-management becomes the key for living life easier as an HSP. Next, summary of today's video. So today I introduced the 4 DOES traits that are core traits of HSP, a highly sensitive person. If all 4 of them apply to you, there's a high chance you're an HSP. If not, like for example, if you're cautious but you're not sensitive to sound or light, you might just simply be introverted or shy. I have created an HSP Self Test that is based on these DOES traits, which I have put in the link in the description, so feel free to try it and see if you might be an HSP. So that's all for today. This was Joe from Sensipath. Thanks for watching and see you next time.